All right. So today I want to address a point about being or becoming an international lawyer because I think there's some confusion, including from some of the people who follow this channel. And I got many questions lately like, Frederick, I want to become an international lawyer. How do I do it? Can I be an international lawyer and a diplomat at the same time? I want to be a human rights lawyer, but at the same time, an international lawyer. So let me clarify a few points because I think that some things need to be clarified and you need to go on the right path if you want to follow this journey, if you want to be and become an international lawyer. First of all, if you don't know me, my name is Frederick. I'm a lawyer with 15 years working experience, working across different countries and jurisdiction at an international level. And in this channel, I focus on my journey as a lawyer, on personal and professional development, and in general about lawyering and related topics. So about being and becoming an international lawyer, as I said, let's break down the two terms. Let's break down the two words, international and lawyer. First of all, let's start from lawyer. What is a lawyer? I mean, if you want to become a lawyer or an international lawyer, you need to understand what it means to be a lawyer. Lawyer, I mean, it comes from the word law, right? Lawyer is the one who handles the law, the one who deals with the law, the one who masters the law, if you like, right? So you work with the law, you know it, you can master it well, you understand different legal dynamics. So it's like, imagine you are listening to something and you are a listener, you are reading, you are a reader, and similarly, if you master the law, you are a lawyer. So because you are doing that specific activity, it's also like grammatically linked to the actual term, like many other words. So let's not further complicate it. Lawyer is the one who handles or who masters the law. And of course, typically, if you want to be a lawyer, you need to have a law degree. This is required by any country in the world, I assume. And okay, we can like even be a bit flexible about whether or not you may have a law degree, although if you want to work as a lawyer, most people, they will ask you to have, I mean, most countries, like even like, states, if you want to work as a lawyer, you need to have a qualification, right? A law degree, either like a bachelor, a Juris Doctor degree, or a master's degree. So, I mean, we can also interpret it in a flexible way, but I think that the starting point is you get a law degree, or at least you get some experience working in the law. And personally, if I didn't have a law degree, I wouldn't call myself a lawyer. But it's also true that in certain jurisdictions, you can also become a lawyer without having a law degree. Like, okay, that is a very peculiar, let's say, situation. But I'm thinking, for instance, about the UK. You can have a degree in maths. You can have also a degree in literature. And then at one point in your career path, in your like academic path, you decide to become a lawyer, and there is a so-called graduate diploma in law, and you basically go through a conversion process, and then you become a lawyer by just like, merely, so to say, studying for a couple of years and sitting certain law exams. So that's very peculiar. But in general, I think that in order to be a lawyer, you A, need to have a law degree, B, need to be, you have to be able to handle the law, to master the law, right? So only in those cases, you will be considered as a lawyer, at least in my personal opinion. And of course, I mean, you also have a long discussion about whether you're a qualified lawyer, whether you're not qualified. But that is, again, another long discussion which we can also possibly do, like in the context of another video, but like you're basically qualified lawyer or not. The difference is whether you are able to represent clients in courts and whether you are also able to do some sort of consulting activities. But that's, again, another difference. And in my personal view, you can be a lawyer even without being a qualified lawyer. Because, I mean, if you work with the law, if you work with legal things, and in many of the environments in which I worked, you didn't need to be to have a legal qualification, to have passed a bar exam. So you can also work as a lawyer without being a qualified one. Like an example is related, of course, to the European institutions. European institutions, you can work as a lawyer, you can work as a legal officer, but you're not required to be a qualified lawyer. In order to be hired, in order to pass to sit a competition and to pass a competition, you don't need to be a qualified lawyer. And then the second term, international lawyer. So international, what does it mean to be international? again, I mean, let's think about, the meaning of the word in a broad way. International, it means that you work, I mean, you deal with matters at a cross-border level, so to say, transnational level, between countries, between different countries. It's not limited to one country, to one territory, to one jurisdiction. So that is how I see, you know, the meaning of the word international in the context of the again of international lawyer. So you are, in my personal view, an international lawyer if you work internationally on legal stuff, on legal matters. And of course, working internationally means that you handle legal matters that have a cross-border character, a cross-border element at least. For instance, it can be matters related to contracts where the parties are based in different territories, or like matters related to issues where different laws come into play, basically. And I think that I also said it a bit more, in a bit of a more elaborated manner in one of my previous videos, how to become an international lawyer. So you can go back to it if you want to hear more. But again, as I said, in order to work internationally, there has to be an international element, a cross-border element. And how this comes into play, it very much depends. You can well also work as an international lawyer in a local context, like in a small city or in your region, if you handle international legal matters, of course. So you don't have to be based in Brussels, in London, in Paris, in New York, and necessarily travel the world, especially nowadays that we have a lot of IT instruments, and then you can work with globally from basically your home office. So that is, and I really wanted to provide these clarifications because I got some questions and I was really puzzled. And I think that it's very important for people, if you want to choose this career path, to understand what it takes, to understand what it means. And when I get these questions like, I want to become an international lawyer, but at the same time I also want to be a diplomat, I really don't understand. First, I would ask myself the question, am I really interested? Do I genuinely enjoy the law? Do I genuinely enjoy the law in international contexts? Would I like to work in those contexts? Would I like to work with legal matters at an international level? That is fundamental, because if you don't like it, you will not enjoy it moving forward, and at one point you will just like give up, right? So I would rather ask myself that question, and then I would ask myself the question as to what, as to what type of qualification, as to what type of job title do I want to give myself. But these are all extrinsic reasons. I mean, you don't have to do it for a job title. You don't have to do it for your identity. You don't have to do it for prestige or the money. And I understand that all these things are important, right, for everyone's life. But if you are thinking, I want to become an international lawyer because it sounds cool, it sounds prestigious, or maybe because I'll make a lot of money, I don't think you're starting with the right foot. So, and as I said, things at one point, they will materialize in a bad way, possibly, if you don't really understand what it takes. So if people ask me, I want to become an international lawyer and a diplomat, you can be an international lawyer and an academic. You can be an international lawyer and a philosopher, whatever. I mean, it doesn't boil down to the job title, to the job qualification. You can call yourself as you want, but let's say the essence is that if you want to work as an international lawyer, you have to enjoy the law, you have to enjoy analytical thinking, you have to enjoy critical thinking, you have to enjoy different sides of a story, and you have to enjoy all of these things within international context. So, as I said in other videos that I did, you may have to master languages. You should master languages quite well. So that's pretty important. You have to understand that before asking yourself, what type of job title, what type of job qualification sounds cooler for me moving forward in life. Because if you're thinking, I'm going to become, I'm going to be an international lawyer, but also a diplomat, because they both sound cool, or like, human rights lawyer, corporate lawyer, whatever else, I think that you're just thinking in terms of having the right qualifications, the right job titles, and you are skipping an essential analysis of the matter, which is it doesn't boil down to being called international. You can call yourself however you want. It's just like, do you enjoy that? Would you enjoy working on those types of issues? Would you enjoy working with the law at international level? And I mean, is it something that really fits for you, for your character, for your personality, and for the way you want to develop as a human being? That is really a fundamental question that I think you have to understand if you want to follow this journey. And again, you can be whatever you want in life. You can be also you can follow some completely different paths, like be them like professional paths or personal paths. You can be a musician and at the same time also a lawyer. You can be an actor. You can be a sportsman and then lawyer, economist, engineer, whatever else. The job titles are very relative. I think that's more. What's most important again is what you want to do and not how you want to be called. So think about it if you want to become an international lawyer. And of course, I mean, I try to share as much as possible about my journey and about the difficulties that I had through my journey, the successes also, because they can also teach something to the people who want to follow this path. But again, as I said, it's very important to understand what you want for yourself, whether you want to become an international lawyer or not, and don't focus on the job title, don't focus on the job qualification. That is not important at the end of the day, because you can also call yourself however you want in life, but the bottom line is that it's really essential to be yourself, regardless of your professional activities or like your job title, how people see you, and all these things. So that's the clarification I wanted to make here. Maybe it took me even too long, but I'm a lawyer, hey, so I digress. And I tend to over speak, so to say. But again, if you have questions about anything that I said, anything that I explained, any type of question, as usual, I read them all and I reply to all comments. So happy to continue in this journey and happy to help anyone else. I'm receiving a lot of messages. I'm sorry that I can't reply to all of them, like private messages on LinkedIn and on other social media. It's difficult sometimes to reply to all the questions that I guess, but so what I suggest is bear with me. I will try to share as much as possible. And thank you very much for following and keep going. Think about it. If you want to become an international lawyer, you have to like it. To the next one. Peace.